time, an argument had broken out over breakfast at number 4 Private Drive. Mr. Vernon Dursley had been working in the early hours of morning by a loud hooting noise from his nephew Harry's room. Third time this week, he wrote across the table, "If you can't control that all, I'll have to go." Harry tried yet again to explain. "She's bored," he said. "She's used to flying around outside. If I couldn't just let her out at night." "Do I look stupid?" snarled Uncle Vernon, a bit of friend egg dangling from his bushy moustache. "I know what'll happen if that all let out." He exhausted dark looks with his wife Petunia. Harry tried to argue back, but his words were drowned by a lone loud belch from the Dursley's son, Dudley. "I want more bacon." "There's more in the frying pan, sweetrooms," said Aunt Petunia, turning mystery eyes on her massive son. "We must feed you up while we get the chance. I don't like the sound of that school food." "Nonsense, Petunia. I never went hungry when I was at Smeltings," said Uncle Vernon. "Early. Dudley gets enough, don't you, son?" Dudley, who was so large his bottom dropped over either side Pets had written to Harry, and the whole story had come out. Harry had taken up his place at wizard school, where he and his scar were famous. But now the school year was over, and he was back with the Dursleys for the summer, back to being treated like a dog that had rolled in something smelly. The Dursleys hadn't even remembered that today happened to the Harry's 12th birthday. Of course, his hopes hadn't been high. They'd never given him a proper present, let alone a cake, but to ignore it completely. At that moment, Uncle Vernon cleared his throat importantly and said, "Now, as we all know, today is a very important day." Harry looked up, hardly daring to believe it. "This could well be the day I make the biggest deal of my career," said Uncle Vernon. Harry went back to his toast. Of course, he thought bitterly Uncle Vernon was talking about the stupid dinner party. He'd been talking of nothing else for a fortnight. Some rich builder and his wife were coming to dinner, and Uncle Vernon was hoping to get a huge order for him. Uncle Vernon's company made drills. "I think we should run through the shelter one more time," said Uncle Vernon. "We should all be in position at 8 o'clock. Petunia, you will be." In the lounge sat Aunt Petunia, promptly, waiting to welcome them graciously to our hall. "Good, good. And Dudley, I'll be waiting to open the door." Dudley put on a full, simpering smile. "May I take your coats, Mr. and Mrs. Mason?" "They love him," cried Aunt Petunia rapturously. "Excellent, Dudley," said Uncle Vernon. Then he wrote it on Harry. "And you?" "I'll be in my bedroom, making no noise and pretending I'm not there," said Harry tonelessly. "Exactly," said Uncle Vernon nastily. "I will lead them into the lounge, introduce you, Petunia, and pour them drinks. A day to beauty." "I'll announce dinner," said Aunt Petunia. "And Dudley, you'll say, 'May I take you through the dining room, Mr. Manson?'" said Dudley, offering his fat arm to an invisible woman. "My perfect little gentleman," sniffed Aunt Petunia. "And you," said Uncle Vernon viciously to Harry. "I'll be in my room making no noise and pretending I'm not there," said Harry dully. "Preciously. Now we should aim to getting a few good compliments at dinner. Petunia, any ideas?" "Vernon tells me you're a wonderful golfer, Mr. Mason." "Do tell me where you bought your dress, Mrs. Mason." "Perfect. Dudley, how about we had to write an essay about our hero at school, Mr. Manson, and I wrote about you." This was too much for both Aunt Petunia and Harry. Aunt Petunia burst into tears and hushed her son, while Harry ducked under the table so they wouldn't see him